All right. This time I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Stokes County Board of Commissioners for August the 8th, 2022. And if you'll please stand, we'll have Commissioner Nicholson lead us in the invocation.
Please join me in prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this day you bless us with. Lord, just thank you for the many blessings. And Lord, just ask you to lead, guide, and direct us in our ways we conduct the county business. We pray for safe travels and way home. Just put that hedge of protection around us. And Lord, just praying for those who are going through stuff right now, but just put that healing hand on them. Lord, just many are just going through troubles, and Lord, just ask you to speak it. Blessing on them, Lord. We ask forgiveness from our faith, and in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, there's a couple of changes to the agenda. First, on the discussion, we're going to, if it's okay with everybody, we'll move item D, animal shelter staffing, up to the first item. So they've had a lot going on and working a lot of extra hours, so we'll try to get them out of here as quick as possible. So that's okay. And then on action, we're going to take item A, and we'll hold it over to the next meeting, the Fifth Amendment to the Board of Trustees bylaws. So with those two changes, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve with the changes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is public comments, and we have one speaker signed up to speak, Ms. Janet Witt.
I'm standing up to speak. I just want to thank you all so much for everything that you're doing for our animal control shelter. I hear wonderful things. They're getting dogs adopted, and I appreciate you all. I love you, each and every one, so much. It's a wonderful thing you're doing, and I'm really happy with Miss Lori here. I hear she's doing a wonderful job, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here to speak on their behalf. Okay, now I'll move on to the comments from the commissioners and the manager, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just welcome everybody that's here with us today and those who may be online participating in our meeting. We appreciate your involvement in our local government, and that's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, as Janet spoke on just a second ago, there's a lot of things that's been going on with our animal control, and by all means, we do very little. For example, I think, is it Lori? I want to make sure I got your name right. I ain't got to meet you yet, but Andy, nice to meet you. But her and our county manager spent a lot of time this weekend after hours. Shannon's been leaving here to help out with getting a lot of things straightened out. I want to commend her on that. I know your job's already busy enough as it is, but also, Lord, taking on this task, I heard it's a little bit of a mess, and I just want to say thank you to you guys, because we do very little here, and you guys have done a whole lot. And a lot of people don't see that, don't hear that. I think it needs to be recognized, but I just want to say thank y'all for everything that you've done in getting this mess straightened out. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mendenhall.
Thank you. It's good to see everybody tonight. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Means a lot. And everybody that is watching this meeting online on YouTube, we welcome you also. It makes my heart feel good that people would come out, give up an hour or two to come to this meeting and to try to participate in a governmental process. I say that at every meeting, but I'm not going to get into some of the political things that are going on in the world today, but we work for y'all. We work for the people. I retired when I was from the school system when I was in 2016. I put in 36 years in that. I believe Candace worked a few years with me. I tell you, 36 years I put in, and I didn't need to run for this. I didn't have to run. God's been good to me. I've been blessed. And I ran to help Stokes County become a better place. Because this is all I know. 66 years old. Only time I was ever out of this place was 4 years I went to Carolina, and now I don't want to say much about Carolina because that's all I want to say about Carolina right now. Graduated from it, and I'll stop at that. But it means a lot for y'all to come out, and I want to echo what Andy said on the animal shelter. I live 4 minutes from the animal shelter, right there on Flat Shoals Road. Go drop off my trash over at the dump a lot of times, and a lot of times if there's not many cars there, I'll go inside. I've seen it more than one time, and I've been in touch with Shannon on this as they move through this, and I know how much extra work that Candace, Shannon, some others have done, and is it Lori? Lori. It's good to have you on board, and we're going to work to support you, okay? And just to everybody else, thank you once again for being here, and that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Did you say 66 years old?
Did I say 66? Well, maybe it's 46.
Okay, all right. Going the wrong direction there.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
It's great to see everyone out today, and glad you come to the meeting. Kind of go back to what Commissioner Nicholson Mendenhall was talking about. I made a privilege to stop by at the animal shelter and introduce myself to Lori, and her and I were talking as when I walked in, and I just kind of shook my head at what I saw when I went inside the building, and I'll leave it at that. And I told her my hat was off to her. I supported her 100%. I got 3 little dogs myself, so I know how people are when it comes to animals. But again, any way we can help you, we'll be more than happy to. My hat's off to you and Shannon for what y'all have done and what's going on. I saw a lot of that on Facebook this weekend. Little dogs getting flew out by airplanes and all that. So that's great things coming out of our county, I think. So again, thank y'all so much.
And I too will echo what my fellow commissioners were saying. We really do appreciate all the hard work that's going into trying to turn the animal shelter around and help those sweet puppies down there that some of them hadn't been given a chance, I don't think. But hopefully it's a new day, and we can. It's really heartwarming to see all those posts on Facebook, as social media seems to be where you can, reach the most people and get the message out about what's needed. And I hope it brings some more volunteers and things your way as well, because I know you're very receptive to all the help that has been provided, and hopefully more is on the way. And so, but we want you to hang in there and give us a chance to really get things straightened out the way it should be there, and that's what we're trying to do. And I also wanted to mention some of our community reached out to my daughter, who went to Kentucky this past weekend, last Thursday, and stayed several days helping clean at Maytown, Kentucky in Floyd County, where she once worked for a summer with Crossroads Ministries out of Louisville, and she had as much stuff as a Pathfinder would hold to take up there, and Stokes County Militia chipped in, and other people dropped off donations as well as monetary donations. And the devastation, she came back just heartbroken over what she saw up there, and so I say I do have a link that I'll post again on my Facebook to donate through Crossroads Ministries, who's a good reputable source to donate to, and they're trying to make a difference in Kentucky and in that Floyd County area, in Wayland and that area. And I mean, we're just very lucky to have what we have and to be where we're at, and those people need a lot of prayers up there, so just remember them, and I'll turn it over to you.
Welcome to everybody. Thank you for your kind words. That's really nice. And since we'll get a little more in depth later, but since we'll go ahead and introduce Lori, since everybody's kind of talking to her already, it's Lori Shore Smith is our new Chief Animal Control Officer, and she's here this evening to help me present a little bit of information about the animal shelter. And Lori has agreed to take on this daunting task, and I'm very thankful for that. And I've really, really enjoyed getting to know Lori and work with her as close as I have in the last several weeks. And appreciative of Candace that's here too, and the dirty, dirty work that we've been doing out back. Candace has been out there every day pressure washing and cleaning, and we have gone through so much stuff and cleaned up, and she has really just stuck in there and been doing it. And we've had a few other people that have showed up pretty religious, and Mandy Dotson that works here has come over several days and helped us yesterday, and my daughter Alex has been there a lot and helped, and we'll get some more volunteers going too. But yesterday was an amazing day. It was kind of a reward for the end of a lot of work. We've gotten a ton of dogs out of there the past few weeks to rescues and adoptions, and getting to see those dogs fly out on an airplane yesterday. One of those was a 70-pound dog that I didn't think would even close to fit in that plane. Got in there and flew, and they're all there and safe, and hopefully a partnership with them and a lot of other things for the future that we can keep going to really opens the horizon for us to get a lot of animals to great times, being able to fly them out rather than drop them out. So that was a pretty exciting day. So we'll talk about some more stuff when we get to that, but thank you all for being here.
That's good. All right, now I'm going to read our conflict of interest statement before moving any further. Does any board member have a conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda tonight, or one that could be perceived as a conflict of interest?
No.
All right, and we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes, the tax office items for approval, and budget amendments. And are there any questions? Any of those items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And so we moved the animal shelter staffing up to item A, so turn the floor over to you.
So, as we've disclosed quite a bit of that, one thing that has been really identified in being at the shelter a lot lately, and hiring and getting Lori in there, and us going through a lot of things together and trying to just clean up what's in there as far as that goes, but just the daily task of what has to be done there every single day, and that has been getting done sometimes by one employee, maybe two occasionally sometimes, and those are also animal control officers that are there getting called out, and the calls never stop. It never ends. And while the sheriff's department is, helping with some of that volume of that as far as enforcement, eventually they will take that back as well. And so soon, probably sooner than later, as far as the enforcement side of it. And when you're there when one animal control officer's there on a Saturday, for instance, and they get there and they start walking dogs, they might walk two dogs, they have a call to go out to. Somebody's calling about a dog that's abandoned or a cat that's abandoned. They have to lock up and leave, go do that call, come back, start over again. And even with 5 people there on Saturdays, it takes us from 8:30 to after lunch to properly walk and clean everybody and get everything set back up. How one person was ever expected to do that and be on call for the entire weekend and do that twice a day on Saturday and twice a day on Sunday and do through the week too is just absolutely mind boggles me, because it's so overwhelming to try to do it and to try to take care of them. And I feel like that what we've been doing lately, we've gotten some dogs adopted and maybe even to rescues that weren't necessarily going to be adoptable animals sometimes, but spending time with them, having people actually there to walk them correctly multiple times a day, exercising them, they got better in the shelter instead of getting worse. They didn't, some of them really fall victim to that because how our shelter is designed, and it's small, and we only have 12 inside kennels and 6 outdoor ones, and when all those are full, you've got nowhere to put anybody, and it's just not a good result. And while we did pass to build a new shelter, and we're going to work on that, it's going to take some time. So we are working towards the end of the month, the end of August. We are going to shut down the shelter for a week, and we're working an agreement out with the Friends of Stokes to take some animals that week. While we do some things in there, refinish the floors as a major product's got to be done before we can even keep going. The floors are so slick, the dogs can't even stand up on them sometimes in the back area. And we've got some things we want to do, like putting in a dog run on the left side of the building. The dogs have never had a fence to run in that are unleashed. That's something we can take with us to the new shelter, so it won't be any kind of waste, but people have been generously donating money towards that enrichment for the animals and for certain vet cares and donations for all kinds of things. But even though we have 12 kennels and 24 cat kennels, most shelters that I've reached out to and talked to, and actually even from the state standards, I believe is right, we should really have 3 full-time attendants in there, as well as the officers that we have that do nothing but take care of animals, and all the other things have to go on to keep that shelter running smoothly. So it's 1 attendant per 10 animals. So we have the capacity for 36, although it's been more than that lately with the problem with the dogs that's just nationwide. They're just dropped off at record rates. So if we added 2 more positions to the shelter, we currently have 1 attendant, and that position is vacant now, and we're taking applications for that, and that will close soon. But if we could add 2 more, and we have our 3 officers, that would really tremendously help us as far as being able to keep moving forward with the shelter, keep doing what we're doing now, and add volunteers too. Volunteers are awesome, and we want to keep adding those, but sometimes people have lives and things happen and they can't come, and if they can't come, we got to have enough staff to be sure we can run the shelter correctly with or without them, if they're not there. So that's what I'm asking for, and I've got at this time, and we could possibly come back later, and if it ends up that we sit down with the sheriff's office and we talk about more duties as far as them taking back over the full vision of animal at some point, it may be that they have to add officers at some point, especially when we get to the new location, when we have much larger space. And, we've got 46,000 citizens and 3 people pretty much manning that and trying to take all those calls every day. I mean, last week it was peacocks, it was dogs, it was pigs, it's everything. It's all day long, it never quits. So I'm hoping that you'll consider giving us those 2 extra positions in the shelter, and those would both be listed as animal shelter attendants. And the salary range for those, I know I didn't put that in your agenda packet, but those start, the minimum salary for that position is a little over $26,000, the maximum's $42,000, the mid-range is about $34,000. I can send you that, more information on that too. But, so as far as we'll bring a budget amendment back is if you approve these positions for us on what we won't know yet until we hire somebody based on their experience when they come in. We might get somebody that has a lot of, a person works in a vet's office that has a lot of experience, maybe a lot of years working like that might not come in at the minimum necessarily. So I just really want you to consider that for us. And if you will consider that, I would love for you to approve it for us this evening so we could post these jobs. Because even if we're looking at putting them out there tomorrow and posting them, we're still looking at a minimum of probably a month getting help. Because by the time you post it 2 weeks, you interview, you hire, they give a notice where they currently work a month's time, and we've got a lot of work to do and coming up. So, but anything you want to add to that?
Sure. I just
Right.
wanted to say, that introduce myself first of all.
Yeah.
I'm Lori Shore-Smith, and I have worked for many, many years as an animal cruelty investigator. So, although I don't have necessarily shelter experience as a director, I can tell you right now that my heart is in it, my commitment is in it, and I work pretty much around the clock so far to make things happen. But I'm so thankful for Shannon. She has been just a godsend and such a support. Candace also has been out there just working that place was a disaster when I walked in, inside and out, and we're slowly, I'm having to remind myself every day this didn't happen overnight, so I can't fix it overnight, but I'm trying. And my goal is to make this department the best that it's ever been. That is my goal, and I hope by the time we get a new shelter that we have everything in place, running smoothly, well organized. That's a biggie for me. It just really needs good organization and leadership. So I will do the very best I can, and I appreciate your support so much. And as far as the shelter attendance positions, state requirements make us have, for every 10 animals, we are supposed to have 1 shelter attendant full-time. And I guess what we're really asking for right now is the minimum of that, which would be 1 full-time shelter attendant and then a part-time to come in on the weekends. And
I would, if we can talk about it, I would like to try to just have 2 full-time ones added.
that would be wonderful.
If we can,
And it's definitely needed because we're so understaffed.
And what added, say that again?
my preference would be to add 2 full-time ones. We only have 1 right now. My preference would be to add 2 because one of those attendants also is tasked with being that really should be a slash office, but we don't have that position in even in our scope of positions. So one person's always gets stuck sort of in the office area answering the phone, which rings constant.
That was going to be my next question. Was there already somebody there doing that?
No. So we have it's vacant.
And the
So we have
phones,
that.
they ring off the hook all day. And normally the calls that we get, one of the three of us has to go on the call.
Right now, is it just you and the two officers?
Correct.
Correct.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're doing the best that we can. We're just really understaffed.
Well, and-
If you think about 46,000 people, and three of us, and most of those 46,000 have more than one pet, so you can imagine just the workload that we get every day. But I just, I want to improve drastically what it is, and I think we can do that with your help, and just getting us a little more staff on board is going to help tremendously. It really
Well,
will.
and then
So-
Melissa, who's an officer there, just finally took one or 2 days off recently after,
Yeah.
like, it was some
13
days in a
straight
row
work.
between
Yeah.
on-call. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I was there with her some of that time on the weekends, and I mean, she was there for 4 hours with me on Saturday morning, and she'd come back for 4 hours on Saturday night, and 4 hours on Sunday morning, and then she might get a call. So, I mean, and if somebody was there doing that cleaning and doing that walking and doing the animal care while she's doing the on-call stuff, she don't have to come back and do that. She can do her job that she's hired to do, which is to be the officer.
Absolutely. And our phones, they do, dispatch calls all hours of the night. And we may get a call at midnight, and we may get home and try to get back to bed and get another one at 3 a.m. and we have to go. So, so staff is just so important. And I appreciate you guys so much and the support that you can give us over there, because it's desperately needed. But I just wanted to come and introduce myself and thank you all for your support, and just to please consider these positions, because it's overwhelming right now over there. And I just don't want to see the two officers that I have get burnt out. And I really see that coming, because one worked 13 hours, 13 days straight, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours, and then the other one worked 11 days straight. And just being in this environment day after day without a break, it's you get burnt out pretty quick. So I don't want to lose the officers that I have, because I think we make a good team, and adding a couple people onto that will make a huge difference.
Okay. I'll start down here with Commissioner Morris. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Lori, it's really good to have you. I'm intimately familiar with all the issues from being county manager here that you're describing, and I agree with every one of them that you're talking about. This is an area that really needs our attention to get it staffed properly, and it's a massive problem. These animals are, they were the whole time I was county manager. When I was county manager early on, I went to visit another county manager at one of our larger counties nearby here, and we talked about an hour or two on different things. And my last question to him is, how did we talk 2 hours, you didn't get any animal control calls? And he said, well, the guy, my assistant's getting them next door there. So, but it's definitely an important area. I appreciate also the work you've done when Mike Marshall was sheriff with cruelty investigation work. I heard all about you then and the good stuff you were doing. So I was really tickled to hear that you were taking this position. So you have my 100% support.
Appreciate that.
You have any questions?
I just want to say again, thank you for all that you've done. I've heard the hard work that's been going in here the past few weeks. And I know it could probably get burnt out for you as well. So I appreciate you sticking in there and hanging there and getting it taken care of.
Yeah, last week was a little rough.
Last week was a
Yeah.
bad week.
I was getting a little concerned about the county manager there, hear about all the stuff she's doing. I was like, I hope she don't take off too. So,
If I leave, I'll go over there. Just kidding.
no, I'm sure the board would agree with this. Any help you need from us, but I'm sure we'll be more than glad to help you get this all taken care of. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Commissioner Mendenhall?
No, I just want to say again, welcome aboard. We're tickled to have you,
Thank you.
and you've got my support.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Well, again, it's good to see you again, and I'm like the rest of the commissioners here. You got my support 100%, whatever you need. Like I said, I love animals, and I think it's our responsibility to look after them. They didn't get put there where they're at by negatives of other people, and
Absolutely.
so we have to deal with it. And so whatever you need, I'm willing to help.
Thank you. And thank you for coming by to introduce yourself too. And I invite any of you guys that would like to come by, just to visit and, just come by and kind of see what we do on a daily basis. It may be hectic, but
Well, if we show up, just carry on. We just be there to, we'll bring our galoshes. And we might have to get out there and wash something or walk something, right?
Yeah,
We'll be ready to work if we come by there, for
Yes.
sure. But,
like me, Mr. Rogers, every day, change out of all your different outfits for
Yeah.
different jobs.
yep. But, I just appreciate you taking on this daunting task and you know, we don't want anybody to get burned out, so we'll hopefully get you some help as quickly as possible. So I just want to get it straight in my mind, so the officers that you currently have that you're talking about are they're working with the sheriff's office or no?
no, the two officers that I have are animal control
Pro
officers.
officers, but the sheriff's department
They
has,
have animal welfare division.
Okay.
Which they are actually patrol officers. They're just kind of stepping in to do the enforcement, just for temporarily.
And after that, they'll really just be doing like criminal,
They'll
like
go back to patrol.
criminal cases.
Yeah.
They'll take back over enforcement, possibly after we get everything kind of straightened up and we see how it goes.
If we
And
get some staff on board.
some staff on board to be able to handle the shelter operations while they're able to actually be the officers.
okay, so you've got you and the two officers
Correct.
and the one vacant attendant position, and we're going, looking at adding 2 more attendant positions. And then what the sheriff's department has is just more or less if there's something really criminal
Right.
going on where they have to get involved.
Right.
Okay.
And I do want to just throw in that sometime in the future, hopefully by the time the new shelter is built, I would like to form an animal cruelty task force, which only focuses on the cruelty felony cases. And that would consist of probably myself and another officer, along with a judge or two, the DA's office, a couple of sworn deputies over at the sheriff's office, just to tackle the investigations and then all the way through the prosecution of the case. I'd like to see something like that happen here, just to I think a lot of the felony cases haven't really maybe been carried through the way they should, only because we didn't have that task force team and you know, in defense of the DA's office, you know, there's so much criminal activity in humans, they just don't have time to study the animal law, you know, section of it. So I'd like to work with them, you know, on the felony cases and a cruelty task force at some point.
Lord, does most counties have this task force?
A lot of counties do. North Carolina is unfortunately one of the last ones to really catch on to this, but animal cruelty prosecutions skyrocket once you get a task force together, because you know we actually train the DA's office and we train judges on animal cruelty laws, because they just don't know them, honestly, in their defense, because they're so busy with human prosecutions. It's all overwhelming, but I think that's something that I can help out with, you know, when we get to that point.
Just a couple more questions I thought of, Lori. Whenever I was here, we had an issue with people being on call too much, and you and 2 other officers. So I assume you're on call like every 3rd week then?
Yeah,
Is that the way you're
we're
doing
going to
it?
start rotating like every 3rd week. Melissa goes on vacation this coming week, so I'm going to do one short, so it'll be myself and one other officer running the whole show. And hopefully get some volunteers over there to help us during that week. So it's a lot for even 3 people, but
Yeah, that's what I'm
honestly, for
thinking of.
5, it's a lot.
I was thinking at the time we had a discussion about there being more than 3, because
We definitely.
just the on-call thing keeps a person too busy being on call, so.
When you're on call for 6 or 7 days straight, by that 7th day, you still got to come back in the shelter
Yeah.
and run regular calls, and you still have to walk dogs and feed dogs and clean kennels and clean cats and feed cats and handle just all of the complaint calls that are coming in and
Yeah.
do all the bites and the rabies enforcement. So even with 5 just animal control officers for 46,000 people, it's still understaffed, but I think any step that we can take to move forward and make progress is going to be a huge help. so I'll take
And we can,
that.
and we can do what we can do now, and then re-examine it during the next budget cycle and see how it's working out,
Okay.
hopefully. One last question, is Dr. Norris still in her position at the state?
She is, to my knowledge. She
Okay,
is.
have you worked with her some
I
before?
have in the past, yeah.
Okay, good, she's pretty good.
Yeah, she's great, yeah.
Okay, great, that's all I have.
I don't think we have any more questions, but thank you so much.
Thank you all so much.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Do I have a consensus to move this to action? Be
Yes.
action item, well, we're holding on A, but we'll say C. Okay.
Also, I want to make sure I mention that I really, really thank our public works staff too. They have been really nice about, we have called them so many times and said, hey, can you come over here and do this? Or can you come over here, can you run me a water line? Can you come bring me the box truck so I can store a bunch of stuff? And will you help me load it and put it over there? And every time they're just sending people and they're over there helping and sweating and doing stuff. And so I'm really, really appreciative of the officers that have been there for a long time too, that have been really shorthanded, and they're really stepping up and trying hard and taking good care of the animals too. So it's just it's coming along. It's just we really appreciate the extra help.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item on discussion is the request for proposals for the hospital feasibility study, which I think we discussed in our hospital trustee meeting, so I don't know if there's any more discussion on that, or I'll
Just
see if
move
the
it to action with the changes. I
consensus
guess.
to move it, to action, and it'll become item D on action. Okay?
With the changes discussed at the BOT meeting, right? Got 'em, okay.
All right, sounds good. Okay, item D on action. Okay, and the next item is the FTCC, for Scitech Board of Trustees appointment request.
You know, a few weeks ago, we presented this request to you, and the Forsyth State Board of Trustees had recommended Ann Watts to serve on that committee in replacement of Will Carter, who actually already came off, so that position's just vacant, and they're requesting that we get this filled for them so this person can start being a member of that. It turns out that Ann Watts had a conflict and was going to have to choose between one position or this one, and she chose the other position, so now we're left again with a vacancy. They have brought another name back to us, and that would be for Mr. Kim Greenwood, who's the town manager for Walnut Cove. Mr. Greenwood has accepted to serve in this position, and if you are willing to do so, to nominate him to serve on the trustees, we would ask that we could also approve this evening, and it has been advertised for quite some time, even before Ms. Watts was put in, so you would be fine to go ahead and put him in this position and do the whole process tonight. We could
Okay,
nominate him, you can move it to action, and then go ahead and approve him so we can get them a letter out there and put him in as the recommendation so he can start serving on the Board of Trustees for Forsyth Tech.
are there any questions about that or anything? Okay, then we'll move that to the next item on action. E on action, Scitech. Okay,
And I guess just as a formality, so we can make sure, can we just nominate him from you all, but then we'll move him and vote on him and poll the board just on this part.
you want me to not ask for nomination?
Yeah, just to nominate him officially for you.
All right,
Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
not knowing that it was going to be moved to action, I'm going to recuse myself from this,
oh, okay,
being on the Board of Trustees of Scitech.
okay, I understand. There any, so are there any other nominations or motion to close?
Make a motion to close them.
Second.
Then I poll the board when we get there, right?
Action, yep.
Okay, all right. Okay. So the next item is the Stokes County Courthouse Private Use Policy. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, so you guys, a couple months ago when the courthouse changed the rules there as far as they did the administrative order, rather the judge did, to make it to where you had to go through the security checkpoint. You can only enter that one way of the courthouse now to secure the courthouse completely. No cell phones, everything, and they check you at the door all the time now. It brought up a couple issues with some of the private groups that use the courthouse. And those groups had to start providing security, and they had to go through the sheriff's office to do that and have extra duty officers there and pay for that security. So there was no cost to the county for that. So I was speaking with Judge Puckett, and the need for, I think, just a really simple courthouse policy has arose. And so you have that on your agenda packet, and Ty worked on drafting that, and I've sent that to Judge Puckett as well, and she was good with the wording of this and thinks that covers what we need to cover. Basically, it gives her the right to say that someone can or cannot use that facility, and then once she okays that, then they still have to go through the process of going through the sheriff's office, securing the extra security, and paying for that once she signs off on that they can use the courthouse. It doesn't happen that often, but just something in place if there is a group that wants to use the courthouse. It's not really a courthouse function.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Any questions?
I thought in our discussions about this, our informal discussions, we were going to limit it to courthouse-only business. But does this still give the judge authority to do non-courthouse stuff in there?
Well, just like, I don't think anybody,
Like political meetings, for instance?
yeah, like political meetings, things like that. I think that's the only thing that happens there other than courthouse business. So I think that's just it. I don't know if there's been other requests to use that space for some reason. I can't imagine that there is.
Okay.
But I think it just,
I'm kind of assuming she's going to limit it to courthouse business.
yeah.
That seemed, after my discussion with her, that seemed to
That's
be
your opinion, too?
the thought, that she thought that that's all that should
Okay.
pertain to it. And I guess there could always be, I don't know, something else that might arise that could be. I know they used to do an art show over there. Do you remember that, when the kids' art projects were all in the hallway?
Yep.
And it was open on Sundays, or like Saturdays and Sundays, for parents to come in and look at their kids' artwork and
I hope
stuff,
with the
so-
security things we need
but-
there, they'll quit doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean.
I think that was prior to maybe like the arts place too, where they do that
Yeah.
now for the schools too. So I
Right.
think all that's, yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, it's a different day and time with stuff. And I think some examples that have been given to me was when I asked about the cell phone or the iPhone watches and things like that, was that there was an incident, and I think this happened in Surrey, where there was an undercover narcotics officer that was basically outed by somebody with like a iPhone watch that took a picture of him, and he could have been killed because the narcotics people he was working with learned of his identity as a undercover officer.
Yeah.
And somebody in the courtroom had a watch and took a picture.
I
of
think
him.
anybody in there other than court business is a risk security-wise, and so I think
Yeah.
she kind of agrees with that, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's what she's going to do.
It seems like that's the case.
Yeah, because this gives her the power to say no to using it to be.
And the sheriff's okay with this policy, too?
I have not actually spoken with the sheriff about this policy. I can't imagine he would have any issue with it, because
I
he
wouldn't
pretty
think
much
so.
only comes into it if I just ran it by her and she was good with it. But the
Okay.
only thing they would really do is provide the security once she says that somebody's
Yeah.
able to use the space.
Wouldn't hurt to get his endorsement to it. Are we going to approve it tonight or next week?
I was thinking have it on action next
Yeah,
time.
next time is fine. It's not
In the meantime, you can talk to
I'll
Sheriff
send it. I'll
Williams.
send a copy to Sheriff Lemons.
Now, and I'm gonna go back to what Commissioner Morris said, but we voted on this. I think, if my memory serves me right, we voted strictly courthouse functions, court-related stuff, and that was it. You know, if we're gonna secure the building, we need to secure it. My feeling. You know, if we just, and that's what the courthouse is for. It's just for people going to court and, you know, judges, and it was brought up about the juvenile thing, about being able to use it. And that was through the court system. We agreed to that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's my feelings on it.
I think we're pretty much all in agreement that that's what it needs to be limited to.
We'll tell her next time we see her, that's the way we see it.
Okay. All right, and we've done the
What's our
animal
opinion?
shelter staffing. All right, that'll move us to the action, and we're holding on item A to the next meeting, and item B is the MetroNet cabinet easement request. I don't know if there's any more questions on that.
Motion approved.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item C, animal control staffing, which is adding 2 full-time attendants, so.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And our item D was the RFP for the hospital feasibility study that we had just a couple changes on that Glenda's made. I have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And item E is the Forsyth Tech poll the board on Greenwood.
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 I'm recusing
You're
myself.
recusing, okay. All right, Greenwood it is. And that is all, and I need a rationale for closed session. I'll let her read it and then I'll ask for the motion.
To consider and take action with respect to the position to be taken by the county in negotiating the price or other material terms of an agreement for the acquisition or lease of real property pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A5.
Motion. Motion to go into closed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we're back. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.